Hey guys, Mike here. So another interesting day in the market, and I don't know if you noticed where a lot of money was going today, but I'm going to show that to you. Also, what to expect for December, especially when it comes to small caps. All right, so I found some data for us. I promised you I would do that. Also, we had Cybertruck happen, right? The event, and I got 3 quick clips for you. Thought they were cool, and it kind of shows you a little about the Cybertruck, plus, how much it's going to cost, which I'll be honest with you, the price actually surprised me. I was very shocked after hearing Elon talk about that and everything. Again, I didn't, if you happen to find delivery numbers or how many have been ordered, I didn't find that. I listened to him talk and tried to do this video at the same time, recorded the videos for you, but I didn't get the part as far as delivery numbers that were put out there and stuff. But, you'll see what it did for the stock in just a second. But talking about what we need to expect for December on the S&P and small caps in particular. You can see right here, it's a pretty good deal. December stock market performance, as you can see, there's a lot more above in the positive for the S&P than below. I believe it's 8 bars below. You can see the big ones, right? 2022, we were still kind of in a crash. 2018, we were in a crash. Right there is during the dot-com bubble as well. That one right there is during 07 or 08, so that's also a crash. But for the most part, you can see anywhere from 1 to 3.5 maybe is about your average, really, when you're looking at this. And if you do the math, that goes from 93 to 2022. I believe it's like a 78% positive return in December. That don't mean it can't be choppy as can be. Again, look at 2021. That ended positive, but it was real choppy. Oh my goodness. And the real return came right at the end of the month. Just FYI on that. Now, when it comes to small caps, okay, and we're going to talk about the January effect and everything else when it comes to tax loss harvest and stuff and rotation. Monthly small cap relative to large cap returns. And this just came out 5 days ago. So this is fresh data, okay? Best 4-month stretch for small caps and likely ahead based on history, okay? So November, December, January, February, usually good months. We're going to talk a little bit about why we think that is. And you can see the other months are kind of, well, they're rough, right? So for May and June are pretty good. And October was absolutely horrible for small caps for sure. Now, when looking at the overall indexes in pre-election years, which is what we're in since 1950. Again, this is from the Stock Traders Almanac, which is a very good source. And you can see it. I mean, the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, Russell, right? Russell's about 3%. NASDAQ's 4.2, obviously, with the tech. And S&P 2.9. Dow about 2.7 in December. And something very important to understand, which we're coming into December, right? So think about this for yourself. What are people going to start doing in December? They're going to start selling losers, right? If they haven't losers in before, why are they going to sell them? Because they get to write it off on their taxes, right? They have gains to write off against these losses. That's what they're going to do. Then starting in January, what are they going to do? So they don't have to pay the taxes on the gains. They're going to start selling some winners, right? Not the whole position or anything, but taking some off and then taking that money and starting to rotate it down into the small and mid caps, the ones, of course, this year for sure, because what's been going on? What's been the whole market? Mega caps, right? And so why not take some of that money off, start rotating it into stocks that can actually double, triple, quadruple, whatever you want to call it, versus these other ones? Because think about it, Nvidia is already what at 4 or 5x in like a 10-month time frame or something. Meta up enormous, all this stuff. And so, which one has a better shot of the underperformers or the ones that are just through the roof right now? And so you heard Gene Munster talk about this. He's a big tech guy, right? And they have their 100 list, and a lot of those were like tech stocks and e-commerce stocks that they've started to break out, but nowhere near what the Magnificent Seven has done, right? And so, and of course, what do these people want to do? They wanted to try to defer those taxes for a whole year. And if 2024 is a rough year and they have some losses, they can just write it off against the gains and they don't pay any tax at all. All right. And so that's the kind of stuff you're going to see going over the next month or two. And that's why I think, honestly, when I look at the small caps, that's probably why they have one of their biggest stretches going in there. Plus, they're just hammered down coming into these months that it's talking about. We'll see if that plays out again. I know we're at higher interest rates, a lot of stuff going on. I get all that. Okay. But, I'm going to show it to you. You can make up your decision for yourself, and we'll see how it plays out. All right. And then you got to ask yourself, how are you going to do with your taxes? And if you didn't think about that yet, you might want to start thinking about it because we're going into December tomorrow. Okay, so talk to your accountant, please. Now, what have we been paying attention to this whole month, right? Is a rotation real, fake? What is it? Well, where's money go today? Where's it been going, really? And today was really defensive. I mean, XLV's at the top. You're sitting there with Staples right there. The financials just because of what's going on with yields and everything else, and they're just beat down. Real estate because mortgage rates drop. You got utilities green. But, you know, if you look at what's going on down at the bottom, your Mag 7 again, once again, sitting down there at the bottom, right? PSCT, which is small tech, right? Sitting down at the bottom. XLK finished slightly green, but not all that great. Now, the big question is finally the RSP going to outperform the S&P? Will it take a back seat if the Mag 7 actually start to finally, you know, people start taking, you know, decreasing their position, I guess you could say, and trying to put it in these other stocks is going to be the bigger question. You know, you've seen it happen right here. When this is going down, that means the equal-weighted ETF for S&P is outdoing the S&P, or it's doing better, right? So there's more breadth in the market and stuff. And so we'll see if that happens. We're obviously at a key level right there. If you look at the Qs, though, you don't even, it looks nothing like that versus the QQEW, the equal-weighted one. You can see nothing like that. But you do see where you get to these extremes, and the QQEW starts to, you know, basically outperform it. Are we at that level? We'll have to see. Again, all depends on the Mag 7 and how they're going to be treated. Now, the other one is, and guys, before we continue, if you're getting anything out of this, please hit that thumbs up down there. I really appreciate it. And if you like the material here and the videos, think about subscribing, which we'll always keep track of going forward here, is the equal weight ETFs versus the regular SPY and QQQ. And over the last 5 days, it's not even really close, right? And so the RSP is handily outperforming the SPY. I mean, it's about 4x better in the last 5 days. And QQEW is positive versus QQQ is negative over the last 5 days. Now, looking at the small caps here, you can see what happened again today. Got smacked down once again by that 200. It's like a brick wall, that 100 and 200. Extremely tough, right? Extremely tough. And the big question is, coming into the first part of December, is it going to be that weakness? A lot of people are calling for it. If that happens, then, you know, you can definitely see us selling down to that trend line right there, where 2 trend lines actually meet, which would be a great bouncing area with a lot of support right there. And when we look at the RSI and the MACD and stuff, I mean, you could say right there that's, you know, bearish divergence, because that's where it's setting lower highs, while the IWM is setting higher highs. But, you know, right now there's still some momentum into this. Again, a lot of this is going to depend on how the first, like, 7 to 10 days go in December, right? Last year they were terrible. I believe the year before that they were terrible. And so you just don't know, because there's been such a massive run up, right? That's the really big thing. Some people are even saying, oh, the Santa rally's already happened. That was November. But again, we're going to have to see, because you got a lot of these mega caps and the SPY and the NASDAQ setting these major resistance levels, right? And so going into some of these, like Tesla. Tesla was simple today. It had this trend line it formed yesterday. And guess what? Opened up this morning, hit it, rejected, sold off, hit it again, rejected, sold off, went down to that 1 hour fair value gap, mitigated it, got a bounce. All right. Then the cyber event started. And here's the 3 things to know. 1, the thing is bulletproof. Okay, they show mini guns. I'm going to show you one. It's bulletproof. I don't know why you need a bulletproof one, but oh well. It tows a lot. It competed against Rivian, 2 or 3 Ford trucks and everything. And it actually, the diesel is the one that they said sets the record at this track or whatever. But of course, the Cybertruck ended up out towing it, which I gotta admit, I was surprised by that. It's very impressive, by the way. And so it can tow a whole lot if you need a towing truck. And they actually did a good job of putting the information out there and showing what can be put in the back of it, loading in a lot of construction stuff and everything like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. And you can see, I mean, at the end here, it outdoes them all. Not even really close, to be honest with you. And then last one, if you need one that's really fast, I guess, it actually raced a Porsche, but it was towing a Porsche. At the same time, it was racing the Porsche, and it actually ended up beating it. So if you need to go, I think, it's 0 to 60 in 2.62 seconds while you're pulling a Porsche, you can do that. So again, this is what the stuff they put out there. You know, I'm not endorsing anything. I'm just showing you what they showed. Again, it did nothing for the stock. And as far as the prices, what I found was they're not. It was actually surprised me, because when you look at the prices, they start on a rear-wheel drive around 50K. I believe this is before any of your savings or tax credits or whatever. The next one, all-wheel drive, you can see the price now. And then the Cyber Beast, about 100 grand, somewhere around in that. So again, I mean, for something that's bulletproof and does all those other things, I thought maybe it'd be more expensive. But, again, you have to see if you qualify for tax credits and all this other stuff. Now, looking at the stock, again, we've mitigated this 1 hour fair value gap. There's a 15-minute fair value gap below it, right? So again, fair value gaps are like magnets sometimes. They absolutely just pull something to it. Same way you saw in the indexes with the weekly fair value gaps I showed you. But look at this. We'll see if we can try to get a bump tomorrow or not. But when you really look out on this thing, I mean, look, we're still wedging. I said this 2 weeks ago, and I keep saying every week, that's what we're doing. We're still in this major wedge right here, just wedging down for whatever the big move is going to be, right? And so you can see this continue just to stay tight in this thing, moving up 1%, 2%, moving down 2% until it finally wants to make its move. Now, looking at these bigger stocks, what we talked about in video, a lot of these we talked about on Sunday's video to set up the week. We said if it breaks that September high right there, expect this to go to 465. I think we got to 463 was the low today, and we got a bounce. So now we get to see, because now September's high is going to be resistance. So if we get a rejection off that, start to come back down, those moving averages, everything else, you could be looking, if we just get rid of all this writing on here, you can see around 457. Got pretty dang good support, and that's really probably where the moving averages will be, right below it right there. Again, if it shows major weakness for whatever reason over the next 10 days, you're looking around 430. I think it's going to be your next level. But let's just see if we can get through September's high. If that gets rejected, then absolutely we're going to be heading back down to 457, then 430 if that continues. Now, if I said Sunday as well, if NVIDIA shows weakness, watch the other semis are going to sell off. Of course, what ends up happening, you got AMD. It was above the trend line, couldn't turn to support. Now it's below it. It has nothing to do with AMD. It just has to do with NVIDIA showing weakness. So are a lot of other mega caps, but it stopped right there where we thought it would at the support level, got the bounce. Again, if it breaks through and starts heading into that next volume gap, then yeah, you're going to end up seeing around drop below 117, head down to around like 112, 113, somewhere in there. But it has a boatload of support right below that. That's why I don't expect some huge sell-off for AMD at all when you look at it. And it's not a big drop. I mean, this thing has had a huge run up. All right, and so the moving averages are going to all be meeting right there, that 110, 112 area support as well. And so, and that will be a demand zone now, not a supply zone, is what we expect. And so, if you're a long-term investor, I would be wanting this to pull back into there to get a nice bounce from there, because that would be, probably put it, if we do get that weakness, around December, 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th or something, to get a bounce to move at the end of the month. So, keep those levels in mind. Meta, I was trying to see right here, this level right here we had talked about, see if we come through it or not. And again, it got to it, wicked right below it, and then bounced, okay? And that is your July and October highs right there, where it got rejected. Now it's support. Again, you have the trend line right below that, where the moving averages are meeting up right around like 315 right there. So if it shows weakness, I definitely think it's going to get a bounce right there for sure. Okay, again, we'll see if it can hold right around that 326 area to start moving back up. I know there's a lot of people who are going to play this long term using spreads and stuff, so we'll see how that plays out. Now, Netflix, we talked about yesterday, that double top. This is one of the many that it's putting in right there. It's got that RTH gap right above that was left from earnings a long time ago. Could this come down, hit this trend line? That will be a dream. Again, your moving averages are pulling up right there, plenty of support. That would be a perfect little deal. Is it a big pullback? Not really. I mean, when you look at it, it's realistic. I mean, it's about, 8%? So that's really nothing. We just went through a much bigger drawdown than that. Is it going to get there? We'll have to see. I mean, 452, you're going to have support as well. Keep that level in mind. So if it does start to keep pulling back and show weakness and you just love this stock, maybe you start DCAing in at 452. And if it hits a trend line and bounce, you'll be ready to go. Again, that RTH gap will be a magnet for it. It hadn't totally mitigated from that disastrous earnings it had many months ago. Now, looking over here at Amazon, the last one, that trend line, we put it there for a reason, got the third touch, had to sell off. Now, 2 days in a row, I believe it is. that trend line that was rejecting, which was the double top for a while right there on it. It actually is sitting right there at it, right there at that support. Is it going to break through, go into the volume gap? It's going to be the big question. Again, a lot of these, like we talked about Sunday, they're just setting at these major resistance areas. They've had these big run-ups. Maybe they need a breather, right? Maybe the market starts going to some weakness. Some people start selling all that good stuff and rotating. You know, that's just what we're going to have to see. But you can see the levels on the volume profile right there, probably like 144. That would be a nice pullback area. You can see the MACDs rolling over and everything. Now, when it comes to economic data tomorrow, you will have a lot. It's going to be S&P Global Manufacturing, construction spending, multiple Fed presidents, ISM manufacturing data, and then you got Papa Bear Powell there speaking at around 11 o'clock. I have no idea if he's just answering questions or he's going to come out and say something as we roll into weekly options expiration. So put down in the comments what you think is going to happen going into December, right? Do you think we're going to have that weakness first week, 7 to 10 days, whatever it is, or what? And do you think this rotation is going to continue? So, you know, I'm definitely watching for more of that defensive rotation going into 2024, and I'm going to show you a lot of data tomorrow, and especially in Saturday's video, to answer some of you guys' questions that you'll definitely want to see, because I've learned something by looking over it too, and it might actually surprise you. Again, if you're a member, I don't think you're going to be surprised because you have a lot of this data, but, you know, for real, it's definitely something you need to be aware of so you can make more informed decisions. That's what we like to do on this channel. So anyway, hope you guys got something out of it. Hit that like and subscribe button. Appreciate all you guys. Feel free to hit me up in the comments, and I will see you later.